What does it say? Referral fees. Referral fees, my friends. Referral fees. When I posted this, everybody was like, oh, yeah. But I want to show you my most recent projection. This is what I believe, Amy, the future is going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. Take a look at this. I think we're still going to have iBuyer, but it's going to be small. 3% of the market. We're still going to have FSBO and wholesaling, some variation of that, maybe 7 to 8% of the market. But we're going to have 50%. This is my prediction, Mike. 50% of every transaction done will have a referral fee associated to it. So look up here. Relocation, agent to agent. We love those, right? Relocation, agent to agent, Zillow, Realtor, HomeLight, Quicken Mortgage, Mellow Homes. You can go right down the line, my friends. There is today about 45 different companies. Listen to me very carefully. There are 45 well-financed, huge businesses that have figured out whoever generates the client gets a big chunk of the cash. And you know what? They're all in it because they see the same thing I see. $120 billion in real estate commissions in Europe, $90 billion here in the US. They see that money, my friends, and they are like piranhas. But you know what they really see? Listen very carefully. They see the vast majority of agents unwilling to do the fundamentals to protect their brand, unwilling to take the time to do the basics to protect their brand, to put themselves in a position to win. So here's the question. You ready? How are you going to win the know, like, and trust battle against Zillow, Rocket Mortgage, Realtor.com, and tens of others? How are you going to win? I want to share with you guys that I know for some of my friends that are newer, right? I'm going to go fast with you, so you got to just stay with me as somebody new. Think of this as a crash course in what it takes to truly be exceptional in this business. And for my veteran friends that have been doing 7, 8, 10 deals, maybe 20 deals, and you're like, okay, I got to get serious, pay attention. Prior to my meeting in Dallas with 178 teams, I asked 12 to 15 people in this same group, most of them selling, 250 homes a year, 500 homes a year, one of them 3,000 homes a year, another one 5,500 sales a year. Teams, my friends, at that level. I said, come in and let's do a 2-day mastermind. I want to see people face to face. You guys want to get out of your hometown, put a mask on, fly to Dallas, and let's spend some time together. And then I basically opened with this. What are you going to do when Zillow or Redfin or any other new company opens up an office, Rhonda, right next to yours? What are you going to do? And by the way, for my friends in Florida, they've already done it. For my friends in North Carolina, they've already done it. In Phoenix, Arizona, they've already done it. I'm talking about like a Zillow office with Zillow agents and their 200 million unique visitors every single month. Now, again, I am not busting their chops. They are doing their thing. My obligation is to serve you. My obligation, Deb, is to get you ahead of the curve so you can defend your position towards what's coming. But then I said, hey, what are you going to do, Sherry Ellis, when they offer a 1% commission? So everyone, you might want to jot this down because here's what's happening right now. They'll do an iBuyer program. Name any one of the companies. And here's what's happening. 300 home sellers raise their hand and say, yes, I would like to sell without an agent. That sounds great. And out of the 300, maybe one actually does the transaction. So there's the real number. 300 people raise their hands, and one says, okay, I'll take that price and your 11% fees. Because that's what it really is, Rhonda. It's about 11%. They're like, okay, I'm in. And the balance all say, nah, I think I can do it someplace else. I think I can go back to my friend, right? I can talk to Brandon Lee. I can talk to, Racy. Like, there's people I can talk to, and they pass. So you know what all these companies are doing? They're now coming back in with a secondary offer. Would you list the home for 1%? And we'll do all the traditional stuff at a 1% fee or a 1.5% fee. So I'm sitting with Mary, some of the most successful real estate team leaders, long-term clients of mine. My buddy Kirk Kessel, I've known him for 30 years. And I said, Kirk, what are you going to do when they do this? And his response is, Tell me what I have to do. What do I have to do? Because I don't want them to eat my lunch. I've worked too hard 30 years in real estate in Melbourne, Florida, to build his brand, to build his reputation. I said to him, you're going to have to make different offers. You're going to have to do different things. You're going to have to add immediately a few tasks to your get stuff done list. And I sat with all these exceptional people, my friends, like many of you watching right now. And I will tell you, the difference with this group is, listen very carefully, 10% of success is knowing what to do and why to do it. 90% of it is actually doing the work. It's easy to sit at your house or in your backyard, Jesse, which looks fantastic, and I hope the weather's beautiful. It's easy to sit in your backyard and say, okay, Ferry, I got it. Okay, you sound pretty serious. You got the credibility. You've been doing this for a long time. It's easy to write it down. That's the 10%. 90% of success is actually doing the work. So let's talk about it. You ready? The question I'm asking is right here. What are the most important future-proof my business initiatives? So Jason, this is what I said to all those top agents. I said, you guys are all killing it and you're making a fortune. What do you have to do? What are the most important things? And then we went into, Mike, a conversation that led with this. How are we going to, as a brand new agent, as a 30-year veteran, Sherry, wherever you find yourself, right, Kimberly, think about it. Wherever you are in your business, I need to know, how are we going to elevate your brand so people know who you are, know what you stand for, so you could be on the consideration set of the people that already know you, like you, and trust you, and others in your marketplace, because that's a bigger group. That's a bigger addressable market than the people you know. Then I said, how are you going to win the mind share? How are you going to win the mind share? So when they get an ad from name any site, Home Light, Zillow, Realtor, any one of those, and Sean, those companies are spending, 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year on things like Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn, television, and more. How are you going to win the mind share? So they go, well, of course Zillow, but I got to call my friend. Of course Zillow, but I got to call Amy. Of course Redfin, but I got to call Mike. How do we win that mind share? That's what we want to do this morning. And then ultimately, how do you defend your position as the hyper-local expert? The hyper-local expert. So everybody, you better write that down because that is the game today. This is like me, Rhonda, calling my clients and saying, join me on a conference call. I'm going to introduce you to my buddy. He runs IndyMac. He has 40,000 REOs. Would you like some? I made a lot of clients really happy during that time because I positioned them to win in that environment. I'm doing the same with all of you right now. I really hope you get my tone. How do we win? Here's the thing, guys. Look up here. Zillow is struggling to go hyperlocal. HomeLight has not figured it out at all. Redfin can tell you walk scores and all that stuff, but they can't go neighborhood specific. They can't go community specific. They're not doing the things that I'm going to show you guys to do today, but look up here, Angela. They will. They will. They'll get there. So I think all of you have maybe 9 months to really get all this stuff going, Justin Miller, so you can be ahead of the curve. So there is some urgency. This isn't like, I'll get to that later. No, this is, at the end of today, you're going to carve out an hour and get to work. And then you're going to spend 30 minutes every day doing just the 8 things that I'm going to share with you. And you got to do all 8. You can't just do a few of them. So here's the first one. You ready? You got to use Google to position yourself as the hyper-local expert. Now, if you're going to ask like how or why, if you're paying attention, my friends, and I'm very lucky, very, very blessed to have a lot of, let's just call it friends in high places. A longtime friend of mine, Raluca Monet, who used to run all advertising for for real estate and mortgage for Google. So she would call me and say, this is what's hot and this is what's not. This is what you need to do. This is the stuff you should avoid. 3 years ago, when Google started making some changes, she's texting me and saying, are you watching? And my response was, is it mature enough yet? It's like when I told you, get on YouTube in 2007, many of you were like, the dance video, Charlie bit my finger, I don't know, right? I don't know if that's actually going to be a thing. But those of us that went hard in 2009, 10, 11, we all killed it. It made our businesses. The stuff I'm going to talk to you about now is fully baked and maturing, and yet I would estimate less than 8% of agents around the world are doing any of the stuff I'm talking to you about. Less than 8%, because all you got to do is just go into the MLS and start typing in names, and you'll see. So what's the first thing we need to do? Here's your first action. You ready? I need you to build out your Google My Business page. We refer to it as just GMB, Google My Business. So do me a favor right now, and I see you all writing it down, and that's great. But what I really want you to do is I want you to grab your phone right now, and I want you to Google your name and see what comes up. Google your name. Now, you might have to, if your name is, Jane Smith, you might have to put, Jane Smith, Coldwell Banker, or, Jane Smith, Realtor. But put it in first. Put in your name. What shows up? Have you already claimed your Google My Business page? So Kelly Chong says, me. I love it, Kelly. Congrats. What shows up? Now, I'm going to go deep on this and give you a bunch of tactical insights and actions, right? So Rhonda Power says me on at least 5 sites. So Rhonda, that's great. But I would think with a name like Rhonda Power, there's probably more than one. So are they all you, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, hopefully your own website? But Rhonda, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Do you have your Google business page set up? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Right? So I see Mike who's saying yes. I see Victoria saying yes. But Rhonda, yes or no? You either have it or you don't. Okay, so Rhonda, I'm taking that expression as I don't have it, right? Not yet, so thank you. So Rhonda, here's the very first most important thing, and then William, I'm going to talk to you separately for some of you, right? For Sophie, differently. The first thing is you've got to own your name in the hyper-local world of Google, and the only way to do it is your Google My Business page. Here's the second thing, 1.2, if you will, on my points. If you already have a personal page and you're a part of a team, you can create a separate one, whether you're the team leader, like I'm going to make this up. Let's just say that, Regina York, let's just say that you've got a team and you've got 5 or 6 people on your team. And your team isn't the Regina York team, but it's the super group in Hoobie Dooville. Well, if your team name has lost your name, I want you to have 2 pages, one with your name, the credibility and the swag that you've always had, and one with your team. If you don't have a team, don't worry about it. Just get the first one done and do it today, Fred. Do it today. Now, the next thing is, if you actually go to Google and you type in, how do I really make my Google business page great? You'll see the same thing I'm showing you here. They basically go through and say, here are the 10 things that you have to do, right? You got to create your account. You got to complete every section. You got to complete every section, which is, look at the one I have right here on the screen, this Donna Roberts gal from North Carolina. I was actually trying to find my client, Donna Roberts, who's actually in like the Oregon marketplace in the high end to check to see if she had done it. And I found this one, and I said, I'll just use it as an example. So I'm not knocking this poor lady, but you can see, ready? She has 1 review. She has a phone number. She has no website. So if somebody actually wanted to read more about her, watch a video on her, see what she's all about, validate her reviews, she's got nothing there. No one's ever asked her a question. She's never responded to anything. And she has, look at photos, I think it says 0. So she has no photos. She doesn't have a website. If you saw this page and you were looking to hire someone, would you hire this person, yes or no? Yes or no, my friends? Right? The answer is no. If you looked, you would be like, does she even sell houses? I met her. She was really nice. My friend said, you should check her out. She's terrific. But then, Faith, I see this, and I'm like, this woman doesn't exist. Now, here's what really matters. So listen up, everybody. I know this, maybe, I don't know if you got 2 screens going or Royce, you got 1 screen going. But listen, whether you're in South Florida, you're in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boca, you're in, New Zealand, it doesn't matter, North or South Island. The bottom line is this. Bright Local, their GMB study said, we also looked at the links between the number of photos on your Google My Business page and the insights, meaning what was the result of having it. So if you read there, here's what it says. You have 100 photos. 100 photos, Jason. Ready? Jason, photos of houses, photos of you with a school teacher, photos of you with a client in front of a for sale sign, photos of you handing someone the keys, photos of you with your children, photos of you at your favorite beer pub, photos with you at your favorite pizza place. You with me? Showing that you're a hyper local person to that town. And look at the results, my friends. People with 100 images get 520% more phone calls. 520%, Rhonda. I don't know about you, but for something that is F-R-E-E, free, to get 520% more phone calls, I'm in. I would do it in 2 seconds. But then it also says 2,700 people, or 27% improvement in people looking for directions. Where is Rhonda's office? Where does she work? Where is that house of the photo that she showed me? And 1,065% more visits to your website. You know the number one question I get when people talk about websites beyond which provider do you recommend is, how do I drive more traffic? I'm like, I don't know. How about finish your Google My Business page, add the photos, put some videos up there, geotag it, which I'm going to explain in a minute, do the basics, but look at the bottom. The same exact study showed that the average real estate professional had 10 photos only. So every one of you today, like everybody just for fun, if you just grabbed your phone and went to your photos, how many thousands do you have inside there? If you went to your website and you said, oh, wow, look at this. Here's every listing I've ever sold. Oh, there's that buyer I met. You have, Kimberly, everything you need in this device. The key is that we got to start uploading it into your Google My Business page, which will take, I don't know, maybe for some of you, grab your 13-year-old and say, I've highlighted 125 photos. I need you to add them to my Google My Business page. Well, what do I get for that, Mom? Dinner. That's the answer. Dinner. Does that make sense? Yes, that's how I parent. Sorry. But now watch this. It's not just doing the photo. You also want to geotag the photo. This is where the hyper-local secret sauce shows up. See, if Jason goes on, for example, and he just takes all the photos and he shows me every house, and maybe Faith, he puts a sold sign on it, right? Or he overlays a sold sign. That's great. But guess what? If he goes on to Google and says, here's the property address, and Google, you know, with their Google map, will actually say, oh, you mean this spot on the earth? Now all of a sudden, Rhonda, your Google map of your favorite restaurants, the communities you serve, all the homes you've sold, all of those geotagged. You know what happens now? Now Google says, Royce is a very legitimate agent in the South Florida marketplace, specifically in this part of town, with all these transactions, with all these relationships. And by the way, everyone write this down. Everyone write this down, because you're not going to see it in the slides. Photos of you with restaurant owners. Photos of you with the owner of the local bookstore. Photos of you with the most popular coffee spots in town, the manager, whoever it is. Now all of a sudden, Google starts to say, this Amy Johnson gal, she really knows everything in this area. So when people are doing searches, whose page do you think is going to show up? Mike, Realtor's going to do their thing. Zillow's going to do their thing. HomeLight's going to do their thing. And the 30, 40 other companies, they're going to do their thing. We got to go hyper local with our Google My Business page. That's the first most important point. Does everybody get it? Give me a thumbs up if you get what I'm saying. Okay, Terry said, good stuff. Terry, that was only point number one. That was only point number one. I got an hour and 30 minutes before we go to lunch.